Hi everybody, I'm Chris G and welcome to another edition of the Habs360 podcast featured on allhabs.net. On this week's episode that aired on January 26th, we received calls from our listeners in regards to the reported news that the Habs are offering a 2-year, $5 million contract to PK Subban. Let's start with Arthur's comments on the subject.
Happy to see hockey back, but you know what? It feels like we're still in the lockout, doesn't it? When we are dealing with negotiations and, you know, an ownership side and the player side not moving off their stands. It seems like we're back in October in Bettman Fear all over again.
Yeah, exactly. It's like I'm guessing Bergevin thinks that we missed it.
Yeah, it's you know what? You just said it perfectly right too, though. You could do that as a negotiating tactic early on, low balling, coming up with that stance and stuff like that. But yeah. And at some point now, you know, we're into the season, we're getting going. You got to move off that. At some point, these two sides need to actually do some negotiating. They're still at their initial side. They're not moving. They're just wasting everyone's time, and they're just hoping something's going to happen to swing leverage their way. Unfortunately for the Canadians, I hate to see an Andrei Markov go down again. Like, we're all kind of afraid it's going to happen at any time, and then there goes their leverage. Or, you know, PK can come back after this weekend of thinking about it and say, you know what, guys, I'm not signing that deal, so unless you're willing to negotiate, then trade me, and then where are we? It's not a smart tactic. We can give a 4-year contract to a guy like Brendan Pruss, but we can't give 2 years to a big cornerstone of our defense for our whole future. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
And you're right. So after he's gone thinking, like, what's next? What is PK if he says no, and then what? The Canadians aren't moving. PK is not signing. Is basically the Canadians trying to play like hardball and will think that PK Subban will crack?
Yeah, it's a tough situation, and the thing you got to be scared about here is that you know, a relationship is being fractured on both sides. You got you know, maybe PK's not feeling as great about the organization as he once did. Maybe the Habs aren't feeling great about him because he's not moving, or they, you know, already the media is villainizing him. He's being selfish. He's not good in the room. And then we're just going down that evil road where we villainize a superstar player because of some little thing. It gets blown out of proportion by the media, and then we're trading him to Colorado for Martin Rashinsky, Jocelyn Thibault, and Andrei Kovalenko, or we're trading him to Dallas for Yanni Niedema. Or, like, we've done this before. Chelios, Waugh, Ribeiro, Kostitsyn, Grabowski. We never get fair value in return. We shoot ourselves in the foot. We go back further in the process, and we're doing this right now based on ideology. And it doesn't make sense. Like, this whole, we have to do this bread contract 2 years because we did it with Price and we did it with Pacioretty. Ideology is going to get us killed here. And we're not going to get ourselves any further, and it's all a waste.
So Arthur, one last question that I have for you. You're Mark Bergevin. What do you do?
I start negotiating. Obviously, I don't want, like, as a Habs fan, and we're all fans, we want to maintain as much cap space as we can so we can add other pieces and compete. None of us want to see PK get $6 million. But you got to come off that 2-year thing, or you got to come off that $5 million for 2-year thing. You know, let's, you know, start meeting in the middle. Okay, PK, how about $4 million? Will you take that? PK says no. He says he wants 6. Well, okay, well, you know, you got to start moving too. I moved. You know, you got to move that. And you know what? Maybe we get him at 4.5 instead of the 6 that's rumored, or the 2.5 that's rumored. And you know what? I think most people would be happy with that. Get him on the ice. Stop talking about these negotiations, and we're good. You know, we got to, you know, start talking, you know, on each side here. For me, I got to be honest with you. I don't even want to do the 2 years because I think PK is going to continue in his development and be a star. And in 2 years, $5 million isn't going to cut it up. That deal that we're afraid to offer him today isn't going to be good enough 2 years from now. And we're going to have to pay this guy $7 million. And that's when we're going to need the cap space, because that's when we're ready to compete, and that's when our young guys are growing. And we're going to need the space, and we're not going to have it because we're going to have to pay him 7 then. So I give him if he wants $5 million for 5 years, I'll do that deal right now. Even better, I'll give him 6 or 8, try to get a discount on that.
So basically you're looking for more of a long-term, like at around $5 million.
Yeah, absolutely. I have no problem with that at all. I think Bergevin's making a big mistake here, and he's playing with fire.
And that was Arthur's comments on the PK Subban situation. Now let's listen to Habs fan in Leafland and his thoughts on the exact same topic, PK Subban.
Well, I'm calling. I guess everybody's talking about the same thing, right, PK?
Yeah. So what do you think about the whole situation?
Well, look, the way I think is that the Canadians have their angle. PK obviously has his. I put the team ahead of any player. If Price can be signed to a 2-year bridge contract and then get his bigger contract long term, then why wouldn't Subban? And I think personally Subban is just sending the wrong message to his teammates by holding out like this. And it's also, I mean, it's a touchy situation given that Bergevin is coming in. He obviously wants to change the culture. He wants to change the tone of the team. And Subban is really the one that is the biggest loser out of this because the Canadians are already looking to turn the corner.
What do you think about the numbers that were reported by Darren Gregor, where the Canadians apparently have been offering PK 2 years for a total of $5 million? Do you think that's a fair offer?
I mean, I think the numbers sound a little low, but if you're a businessman and you negotiate, you always start at a lower rate. I think what the Canadians are trying to do is get PK sold on a 2-year term or a 3-year term, and then they'll come up in price. You know, so if Subban is sticking hard to his longer term, 5-6 year term like Price got, that's the real issue here. I think he can get his $3 million a year or 2.5 or whatever it makes for 2 years, show it, make it count, and then he'll get his big contract. I mean, it's just, for me, he's not the franchise player that everybody, or at least some people, are calling him. To me, if we have a franchise player, it's Price. And then that could also be potentially Galchenyuk if things work out well with him. So, I mean, look, Subban is like the Gary Carter of the Canadians. I don't know if you're old enough or whatever, remember Carter playing for the Expos, but his teammates kind of despised him for being very camera ready and very available to smile and always smiling and talking to the reporters. And his teammates took it the wrong way. Now, Gary Carter, at least, knew his place when he came in on the Expos. He knew his place within the roster, and he made the best of it. You know, Subban's only at 20. What is he? 23.
What?
He didn't win the Norris. He didn't win any awards. He's a talented player. Everybody knows that. He's very exciting. He has a lot of energy, a lot of passion. Obviously, save it for the ice. But you know what? I read different things that he's either an issue in the room or he doesn't really gel with everybody because he doesn't really know his place, or he wants to change the music to his station, whatever the case may be, or he's not an issue in the room. Let me tell you, I mean, hockey is a different animal. The room has to be tight. I mean, these guys shower together, you know? And I mean, if he rubs, I mean, look, the team now has brought in some new blood. They've got, it looks like they're starting to gel now. And he's just hurting himself because now, look, Diaz is clicking with Markov. And everybody talks how Subban needs to be on the power play. Well, right now, it's only 3 games, so we don't want to get ahead of ourselves. But, I mean, you know, the Canadians, to me, look like they're suddenly a little bit deep on defense. They're sitting Weber. And Tinordi had a great camp. He's just about ready for the big leagues. So he's a call away. They have Saint Denis. I mean, it's a tough play. I mean, obviously, if Subban signs, we can sit Caberlet. I think that's really would be the plan. You know. Anyways, that's what I think.
And now let's listen to Joe and his comments on the PK Subban contract negotiations.
Just want to, I won't take too much time there, just talk about I was listening to you guys, just talk about the PK Subban, and, you know, all the tweets passing around there, and people, you know, I'm one of them saying, you know, don't compare Price and Pacioretty to the PK Subban situation, even though it's a different CBA. You know, Price had competition, Pacioretty, you know, he got hurt and whatnot. I mean, don't even put Markov in there because of his age, and, you know, he's totally different. But of the D that we have, you know, who's got more strength than PK Subban? And then, I don't know if it's true, but 2.3 and 2.9 million. I mean, are we back in the Evgeny Pierre Gauthier era where Bob Gainey says we don't believe in, I don't know, 5, 6, 7-year contracts, especially for, you know, so what's this whole thing now? Now it's a bridge, so we have to give a bridge cut. So I'm Marc Bergevin. We want to sign PK. We want PK in our team. He's an integral part in our team, and you can't meet halfway. I kind of agree there in the sense that it's 2 times the money in the years of what they'll 0.55 million. And if you know, like Bergevin, Dudley, and everything, see this part of, you know, going forward, meaning he's the core piece, like, you know, and going forward, why would you contract? Okay, in this team, like 20, 30 goals, whatever, like, you know, copy. The guy chews up minutes, 30, 35 minutes. You know, in this whole, we won 2 games. One should be 3-0 with Washington 4 or 0-3-1. So what? PK Subban, it doesn't matter. Me, I look at it. We won 2 straight games, and why wouldn't you want the Subban to be there to make you even stronger and keep going forward? I'm like, I pray to God. Yeah, okay, it's a young GM, and it's so frustrating to the people. And you got a guy there. He's saying, no, we got to give this guy a bridge contract. Give the kid $5 million for 4 years. 5 million. And you're telling me, even though it ends up being crap, excuse my the word there, he ends up being no good for the first 2 years, I guarantee you PK Subban is one of those contracts that you can trade where another team will pick up anytime. Example like Price. If Price doesn't pan out in his 6 years, you know, and he's not doing well, trust me, another team's going to take him. You're not in a situation like a Gomez. Or try to trade Gianta. You know, it's not going to be like that. That's my opinion.
And those were Joe's passionate comments on the Montreal Canadiens. I hope you enjoyed our sneak peek of this week's episode of the Habs360 podcast featured on allhabs.net. If you would like to listen to the entire episode, click on the link on this page. A programming note that our next episode will air live on February 1st at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, as we will be previewing the Habs game against the Buffalo Sabres. Follow us on Twitter at Habs360 for more details. Thanks for listening, everybody.